Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow all the information I have in the description box and the comment section. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And a quick announcement, if you are in the DMV area and you would like to get tested for HIV, reach out to us at GMHC, which is Gay Men's Health Collaborative, where you can get a home kit to get tested for HIV, and you can also call us for a same day appointment where you can come to our location to pick up the kit. And if you're interested in getting set up with PrEP, also reach out to us for that as well. Also check out my YouTube partner BK WorldTube, which is the Black Netflix, where you get shows from Love and Hip Hop to RuPaul's Drag Race. The link is in the description box in the comment section. Check out BK WorldTube after you watch this video. Now this is a brand new episode of my show here on YouTube called Tea and Scandals. I'd like to thank you all for clicking on. And this episode is about a musical genius and a fashion glamazon. And I am talking about the sophisticated lady herself, Phyllis Hyman, a naturally gifted artist who sadly left us way too soon. Phyllis Hyman was born July 6, 1949 in Philadelphia, but raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Born the eldest of 7 children to Philip Hyman, a veteran of World War II and a barber, and Louise Hyman, a homemaker. She's also the cousin of Earl Hyman, mostly known for his role as Russell Huxtable on The Cosby Show. And even though she came from a loving family, her family was dysfunctional due to her father's alcohol addiction and her mother's bouts with depression. And also the relationship between her parents was very turbulent. And these issues, alcoholism, depression, as well as turbulent relationships, will plague Phyllis later in her life, in which later on she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in the 80s. She was a naturally gifted artist, and her talent was recognized at an early age. One of her biggest influencers was the great jazz vocalist Nancy Wilson. They eventually would become very good friends, and Nancy Wilson would say herself that she even learned some things from Phyllis, which goes to show that Phyllis was a naturally gifted talent. After graduating from Carrick High School, where she was mentored by music teacher David Tamburi, she received a music scholarship to Robert Morris College, where she trained as a legal secretary, so being a businesswoman was very important to her. While in high school, she sang with the group The Sounds of Ebony. She would also sing with other groups such as New Direction, All the People, and the Hondo Beat. In 1972, she moved to Miami, where she honed her stage persona. Her big personality, sense of humor, and sharp wit were synonymous with her stage performances. Later, she took a job on a Norwegian cruise line, and while on this cruise line, she met Larry Alexander, a Jamaican singer, and also the brother of Jamaican pianist Monty Alexander. Later, he would become her husband, producer, and manager, which also, their marriage was turbulent as well, and would eventually end in divorce in 1986. After her stint on the cruise, she decided to put her own band together called the PH Factor, who was so sharp that every audition they landed, they got the job. In 1975, she relocated to New York City, where she, along with PH Factor, honed their craft singing in clubs with great success. Industry people like Ashford and Simpson, Stevie Wonder, and George Harrison would frequently attend her performances. Eventually, her talent caught the ear of Norman Connors, who recorded her on the remake of the Stylistics classic Bet You by Golly Wow, which appeared on Connors' album You Are My Starship. Another song, We Both Need Each Other, which reached number 23 on the R&B charts, a duet that she did with Michael Henderson, and Bet You by Golly Wow also reached number 29 on the R&B charts. In 1977, she signed with Buddha Records, which was known for the acts Norman Connors, Michael Henderson, and Gladys Knight and the Pips. That same year, she released her debut album, simply titled Phyllis Hyman, which include gems, Loving You, Losing You, No One Could Love You More, and I Don't Want to Lose You. Buddha Records, which was a small independent label, later was taken over by Arista Records. That's her second album that she did with Buddha, Sing a Song, was released in '78, but eventually was pulled after the takeover. Phyllis was transferred to the label Arista Records, which was run by Clive Davis, who previously had success with Janis Joplin and Bette Midler. The relationship between Clive Davis and Phyllis Hyman was a turbulent relationship. He wanted her to be a recording artist who would have producers and writers that will appeal to the pop music genre, which Phyllis, who understood herself as a true artist, was resistant to that. In 1978, now being the first lady of Arista Records, she released the album Somewhere in My Lifetime. The title track was written by label mate Barry Manilow. Other gems on the album were The Answer Is You, Gonna Make Changes, Living Inside Your Love, Be Careful How You Treat My Love, and Kiss You All Over. And also, Here's That Rainy Day. Clive Davis wasn't pleased because the album didn't produce any pop hits or million sellers, which began to have an effect on Phyllis in multiple ways. In 1979, she released her next album on Arista, You Know How to Love Me. The title track, written by James Mtume and Reggie Lucas, became a huge hit, going to number 12 on the R&B charts and number 6 on the dance charts. I love that song. Other gems on You Know How to Love Me include Some Way, Under Your Spell, But I Love You, Give Me a Little More, and Complete Me. Phyllis, who was the first lady of Arista Records, then began to get lost in the shuffle at the label after Dionne Warwick, Angela Bofill, and Aretha Franklin were added to the label in the early 80s. In 1981, Phyllis was offered a major role in the Broadway musical Sophisticated Ladies, a tribute to Duke Ellington. Clive Davis was resistant to her taking the role, reasons being it would interfere with her recording career. Phyllis decided to do the show anyway, which was a huge success on Broadway. Castmates were Gregory Hines, Hinton Battle, and Greg Burge. A lot of signature tunes came out of Sophisticated Ladies, such as In a Sentimental Mood, I Got It Bad, and That Ain't So Good, Take the A-Train, and It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing. She was nominated for a Tony Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role and won the Best Newcomer Award at the Theatre World Awards. In 1981, while doing the show, Arista released her album Can We Fall in Love Again. The title track, another duet with Michael Henderson, became her first top 10 hit, reaching number 9 on the R&B charts. The album charted to number 11 on the R&B charts. Phyllis Hyman appeared in the show Sophisticated Ladies from 1981 to 1983. And during this period, people began to see the signs of her depression and her mood swings. She also began to dabble in alcohol and drugs, one of the drugs being cocaine. And you know the saying goes, cocaine is one hell of a drug. In 1983, Arista released her album Goddess of Love. The album was a commercial failure due to the fact Arista had her work with producers and writers that were trying to get a pop hit. One of the songs, Riding the Tiger, written by Narada Michael Walden, she hated it. And other notable songs from the album were Fallen Star, We Should Be Lovers, and Let Somebody Love You. I actually love that song. Beautiful song. Phyllis was furious with Clive Davis and Arista Records because they didn't get her as an artist. She was a genius that was in the class of Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, and Donny Hathaway. She was an artist who truly understood the power of her creative abilities and her gift. And yet Arista and Clive Davis were trying to mold her into a pop star by making her work with producers and writers that wanted to change her style. And after the fallout over her creative direction, Clive Davis stopped production on her future releases in 1983, and due to her contract, she couldn't record with another label for the next 3 years. So her competition on the label, Dionne Warwick, Angela Bofield, and Aretha Franklin, were given preferential treatment while she fell to the bottom of the heap. During 1983 through 1986, she collaborated with acts such as McCoy Tyner. I like that song, Somewhere in My Heart. Beautiful song. She also collaborated with Barry Manilow. She also sung commercial jingles. She got modeling contracts and appeared in multiple television specials and toured throughout the country selling out performances. After Phyllis and Larry Alexander separated, she hired the management team of Glenda Garcia and Cindy Francis. They also hired Cassandra McShepard, who took the look of Phyllis Hyman to another level with her crown hat, her V-neck lines, her gowns, and with her accessories. Phyllis' fashion was out of this world. And also, I would like to note that Phyllis Hyman was a strong believer in black excellence and made it her mission to hire African Americans to be a part of her company. In 1985, Clive Davis signed a 19-year-old newcomer named Whitney Houston, and when her management team went to discuss Phyllis' place on the label, they dropped the bombshell that Phyllis was going to be let go from the label. It's been stated that after hearing this, Phyllis Hyman cussed out Clive Davis during a business conference at Arista. And also, due to her bouts with mental illness, she lost out on a lot of great opportunities. One of them being the role of Shug Avery in the film Color Purple. The role will go to Margaret Avery, which garnered her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. In 1986, Phyllis signed with Philadelphia International, a label headed by the legendary duo Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, whose work includes Teddy Pendergrass, Wilson Pickett, and the OJs. They loved and respected her for the artist she was and gave her the love and support she didn't receive from Arista Records. In 1986, she released the album Living All Alone, which the title track went to number 12 on the R&B charts and would become one of her signature songs. And also the album would become signature in its own right. Other notable songs from the album were What You Won't Do for Love, Screaming at the Moon, You Just Don't Know, and Old Friend. One of her signature songs, which became one of her which became her signature song for multiple reasons. The writer, Linda Creed, who was a close friend of hers, died of cancer at the age of 37 before the album was released. And she was a big supporter of the LGBTQ community and lost many friends due to AIDS. Old Friend reached number 14 on the R&B charts. Her follow-up album went on hold for 5 years due to Philadelphia International losing their distribution deal, which on many occasions, she has shared that even though she had high respect for Gamble and Huff, it was difficult due to the lack of an album to book and maintain gigs on the road. And that, she also shared that she felt, slighted because artists that came after her, and also artists who wasn't as talented as she was, were getting more radio airplay and more notoriety than she was. And let's remember, she has been recording records since 1976. During the period of 1986 through 1991, she appeared in movie School Days singing B1 and the movie Kill Reflex playing the role of Irene, along with Fred Williamson. She also did some great collaborations with Grover Washington Jr., Barry Manilow, Lonnie Liston Smith, and also during this time, Phyllis was dealing with the difficulties of her bipolar disorder. After she was diagnosed, she was prescribed the medication lithium to deal with her mood swings. But afraid that she was going to lose her creativity, she stopped taking the medication and went back to self-medicating using food, alcohol, and drugs. She went to rehab in 1986, but sadly it didn't take and she went back to her old regime. And also, she had attempted suicide twice, once in 1989 and also in 1990. And she had went back for a second time in rehab in 1991, and again it was another failed attempt. Her mental condition made it difficult for her to maintain a loving relationship. She had many relationships with men and a woman as well. All of them ended in heartbreak, and just like her parents, a lot of her relationships were turbulent. In 1991, Philadelphia International finally landed a distribution deal with Zoo Entertainment, and the album Prime of My Life was released. This album will become the biggest album of her career. She achieved her first #1 hit single with the New Jack Swing themed track, Don't Wanna Change the World. I used to love that song when I was a kid. Other notable songs on the album were Living in Confusion, a song she wrote with Kenny Gamble, which went to #9 on the R&B charts. When You Get Right Down to It went to #10 on the R&B charts, and the album itself went to #10 on the R&B charts as well. Other notable tracks on the album were When I Give My Love This Time, Meet Me on the Moon, which was also on the Kill Reflex soundtrack, I Found Love, and Whatever Happened to Our Love. This was a successful milestone in her career, but due to her mental illness, it was a bittersweet period, and sadly, it only got worse for her. She was also named in 1992 the best female vocalist by Body and Soul magazine, and she beat out Aretha Franklin, Anita Baker, and Whitney Houston. In 1993, it was a tragic year for Phyllis Hyman. Her mother and grandmother died within months of each other. She had recurring financial problems, and her obsessive recipe of food, alcohol, and drugs began to take a toll on her physically, attributed to her gaining a lot of weight. Yet, even though she gained a lot of weight, she was still beautiful and had a style like no other. On June 30th, 1995, she was set to appear at the Apollo Theater along with the Whispers. She sent her team away and told them to wake her for sound check. At 2 p.m., her assistants returned to find her door locked by a chain, and Phyllis was unresponsive. They broke through and found her unconscious in bed. She was surrounded by a bottle of vodka, the pills, phenobarbital and succobarbital, and a note that read, "I'm tired, I'm tired. Those of you that I love know who you are. May God bless you." She was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. At 3:50 p.m., she was pronounced dead at the age of 45, a week before her 46th birthday. The show at the Apollo, was shocked by the news of her death. Her band went on with their set with a spotlight on the microphone, in tribute to a fallen star who left us way too soon. The Whispers also dedicated their performance that night to her legacy as well. The story of Phyllis Hyman is a cautionary tale on the trials and pain of mental illness. It's a condition like cancer and diabetes. It's not something to push under the rug, or something to take lightly. She also had siblings and other family members who also struggled with the pain of mental illness. Funeral services were held in both New York and Philadelphia, and the album I Refuse to Be Lonely was released months after her death. It's also been alleged that I Refuse to Be Lonely was set aside due to cost negotiations, which added more to her stress and financial difficulties. And noted, I Refuse to Be Lonely, Phyllis wrote on 5 of the songs, which showed her struggle with pain and sadness. I refuse to be the 5 songs were I Refuse to Be Lonely, I'm Calling You, It's not about you, it's about me, It Takes Two, and Why Not Me. 2 other albums were released after her death. One on One, released in 1998, which included gems from her work with Pharoah Sanders. Oh yes, As You Are and Love Is Here are like one of my favorite Phyllis Hyman tracks. Her and Pharoah Sanders were a great combination. Her duet with Gregory Hines from the soundtrack of The Sophisticated Ladies Take the A Train, and I Got It Bad and That Ain't So Good. Also, one of my favorites on this album was Baby I'm Gonna Love You and Remember Who You Are, featuring Norman Connors. Another album released in the same year, Forever With You. Some of the notable songs from the album is the self-track Forever With You, The Strength of a Woman. And speaking of Strength of a Woman, check out this phenomenal biography written by Jason A. Michael. Hurry Up This Way Again, Come Right or Not at All, and No One But You. Phyllis Hyman is a true musical gem, and her gift and legacy will live on forever. So get down in those comments and let me know your thoughts on this episode, and also share some knowledge that you have about Phyllis Hyman, her musicality, about her career, and most importantly about her gift. So that's what I have, y'all. So until next time, everybody, take care.